Language Learning Series 3 Steps Methods to Learn a New Language.
All right, let's talk. If you're an adult and you feel totally stuck trying to learn a new language, this one's for you. We're going to break down a really efficient 3-step method that actually works, and it's all based on real-world experience. Okay, let's get right into it. So, let me ask you something and be honest with yourself. You've been studying a language maybe for years, right? So, how is it really going? If you feel like you've put in all this time, but you still can't actually hold a decent conversation, I just want you to know you are definitely not alone. It's an incredibly common feeling. And a huge reason for that frustration is that we're all doing the same things, things that feel productive, but really aren't. We buy piles of grammar books. We binge watch shows, just hoping the language will magically sink in. Or maybe you hire a tutor, you're super motivated, and then life gets busy and you quit. Sound familiar? These common methods are pretty much the root of the problem. So the first big shift we need to make is all about the learning order. That traditional listen, speak, read, write sequence we all learned in school, well, for adults, it's actually holding you back. Okay, so check this out. Instead of jumping from listening right into trying to speak, this efficient method combines listen and read into one super powerful first step called input. The whole idea is to build a massive foundation of understanding first. Then, and only then, do you move on to activation, which is speaking. Writing comes way at the end, just to refine things. And the logic here is just so simple and so important. The absolute core of learning a language is comprehension. You simply cannot produce what you don't first understand. So building that solid foundation through tons of combined listening and reading, it just has to be your number one priority. Okay, that brings us perfectly to Section 2, Mastering Your Input. And I'm not kidding, this is arguably the most critical part of the entire method. So let's really dig into exactly how to do this the right way. So, how do you pick your learning material? There are a few golden rules. First, the 60 to 70% rule. You should already understand most of what you're consuming. This isn't about torturing yourself, it's about building on what you already know. Second, it has to be interesting to you. If you're bored, you'll quit. Third, and this is a big one, it's non-negotiable, it must have both audio and a written transcript or subtitles. And finally, you gotta drop the ego. Be a child again. If your comprehension level is that of a 5-year-old, then guess what? You're watching Peppa Pig. There is absolutely no shame in starting where you actually are. Okay, once you've got your material, you don't just passively watch it. No way. You use the 4-pass method. The first pass, just watch it with subtitles in your language and the target language to get the gist. Second pass, slow it down to 0.75x speed. Look up the words you don't know until you're hitting about 80 or 90% understanding. Now the third pass is crucial. This is called shadowing. You read the subtitles out loud with the speaker. Try to copy their exact emotion, their rhythm, everything. And finally, the fourth pass. Subtitles go off. Now you try to speak the lines right along with the audio, pulling it all from memory. So why does that shadowing thing work so well? Well, it's all about training your brain's natural pattern recognition ability. When you read aloud over and over, your brain literally stops seeing individual words. It starts seeing entire phrases as one single chunk. It's the reason you hear a phrase like, "How about you?" and process it as one idea, not 3 separate words. You're building an intuitive feel for how the language flows. Now, for a bonus tip that will absolutely supercharge this whole input phase, you've got to build your own personal phrase book. This is so powerful. As you're consuming your material, you're going to come across full sentences that just click. Phrases that sound like something you would actually say. Write those down, the entire sentence, into a notebook or an app. Then just spend 10 or 15 minutes every day reviewing them. You're not just memorizing random words, you're building a custom library of phrases that are ready to go and sound completely natural. All right, so you've built up this strong input foundation. What's next? It's time for Section 3, activating your speaking. And this step right here is the one thing that truly separates the people who achieve fluency from those who stay stuck forever. But here's the trap. It's a huge one that so many people fall into without even knowing it. The single biggest mistake you can make is just practicing without actually improving. You're talking, sure, but you're not getting any better. You're just spinning your wheels. So, how do you break out of that cycle? Well, the answer is a concept called Fubon. It's a Chinese term that comes from the strategy game Go, and it basically means to review and analyze your performance to see what you could have done better. In language learning, this is your secret weapon. It means after you have a conversation, you actively think back, where did I get stuck? What couldn't I say? Then you go look up the right way to say it and correct the mistake. You're creating your own feedback loop. And that's the whole ball game right there. You see, just doing the work, just talking a lot, it isn't enough. You have to consciously do the work. It's that intentional act of finding your weak points and systematically fixing them that creates real, noticeable progress. Okay, so we've covered the how. Now, for our final section, let's zoom out and talk about the why. This is all about the power of long-term thinking and how you can turn this language skill from just a hobby into a truly life-changing asset. I want you to think of it like this. Your professional skill, whether that's marketing, data analysis, project management, whatever, that skill is powerful. But when you add language fluency to it, wow, it becomes a force multiplier. It unlocks global opportunities, higher salaries, and career paths that were just completely closed off to you before. And that kind of advantage, it isn't built overnight. Let's be real. You're not going to build a massive competitive advantage in just 3 months. But over 5 or even 10 years of consistent effort, the gap between you and the person who gave up becomes enormous. It's like compound interest for your career, for your brain. So as we wrap this up, the final question isn't just how you'll learn a language, but why you're going to do it. All these steps, all this effort, what's the future you want to build for yourself with this new skill? What doors is it going to open for you?